it done in class. I'm guessing that you guys probably want to get stuff done in class. So first things first, I got some announcements. So I should not be competing with people to talk. This is only your homework if you don't get it done in class. Our objective would be to get it done in class, and you essentially won't have homework. Now, here's the other part of this deal. I'm going to switch slides, and I just need everyone just to read for a moment. Because no matter what, even when I make announcements, people aren't necessarily hearing what I'm saying. So I need you to read all the information over here. So a few baseline things about when I'm out. Because I'm out tomorrow, and then I'm out Wednesday of next week to go to training for CPM. We're not here every single day, right? Us teachers, we end up out here for different days. This is never really an issue at Phoenix, but it's worth saying because you guys are middle schoolers. Respect the guest teacher. They have a harder job than I have. I was a guest teacher for 6 months when I started teaching. You don't know what group of students you're walking into. You don't know what content you're walking into. You don't know if you're going to be a teacher, if you're going to watch them take an assessment, or if they're going to you don't know really anything in the morning. Every day is a brand new experience, and it's stressful. Respect the guest teacher. I leave them a photo roster, and I specifically ask for them to leave me a note, and if any students cause issues, I ask them to name them. So if I have to talk to you on Monday about how you treated the guest teacher, it's not going to be a good conversation. Okay. What it looks like is going to happen is Kim, I forget her last name, but the guest teacher who was in for Mrs. Goldring last week, it looks like she'll probably end up being the teacher in here tomorrow because right now my spot is not filled. There's no teacher taking my spot right now. But because Mrs. Goldring is not actually having class, you're going to have global cultures tomorrow, Kim will probably be your teacher in here. But tomorrow you guys are taking a test, so it's not really like they're teaching you or having class anyways. So I'm asking that we only have 2 people at table groups, and if we, so we're going to spread out to both classrooms, okay, tomorrow for the mastery because Mrs. Gordon's not teaching. So, Greta and Layla could stay here because they're facing different directions and they're not, right across from each other because we just don't want people to, be tempted to look off each other's pages. Guys, the person sitting next to you probably knows less than you, might know less than you, might be solving it a different way than you. Don't cheat. That's pointless, right? This is a mastery school. It's about learning it right. If you don't know it yet, that's okay, but don't cheat because then you're never going to learn it, right? So 2 people per table group, and then the rest of the people spread out. I'll leave it up to the guest teacher if we have people at the back counter, but if we do that, only 3, right? We can have 4 there during class, but during a test, only 3 people up at the back counter. And then, of course, Mrs. Goldring's in. So I think her desks are more comfortable because the chairs move and you're not locked in a certain spot. So there's that. Do not turn in your homework tomorrow. Please, please, please don't, because I'm already going to have a bunch of papers in there from mastery assessments. What you will be turning in is your test paper and work paper if you have graph paper that you do work on, which you're probably going to need to have graph paper to do work on. I pretty much always try to squeeze my tests into a front-back. So it's not stapled or anything like that, or it uses a bunch of paper. But I don't leave you a lot of space. So on the quiz, the back of it was blank, and you had some space and whatever, and I still had you guys get out graph paper. You should be in the habit, or get yourself in the habit, that whenever we take an assessment, you have a piece of graph paper out, even if you end up not using it, but it's easier to have it out at the beginning than to be 10 minutes into the test and decide, oh, I want a piece of paper, and then you got to get in your binder or get up and get it. So just please have graph paper out. Make sure your name is on it, and make sure you staple it when you turn it in. My stapler's up there, and if it's not, ask the guest teacher. It's just on my desk somewhere, because I only have 1 in here. And here's the big reason I don't want you to turn in your homework. I might never need to check it, which would be really good for some of you guys, especially if you're slightly behind or didn't get things done, if you master the assessment tomorrow. So I'm going to come in and grab them and probably grade them over the weekend. First, you won't need to turn in any other Chapter 1 homework. So if you're real confident in your abilities and you don't get the work done today in class, you could choose to not do it and risk, am I going to master or not? If you master, great, awesome, you don't need to turn in. If you get a progressing or not progressing or something like that on the mastery, then I would ask to see your homework and then your quiz grade will matter, but it's probably the same issues that you had on the quiz. I would guess if you haven't fixed them, then you might be still having those issues. But I have some people that on the quiz made some errors, made some mistakes, and I'm thinking that you probably know that stuff now because you've been doing more practice. So my goal would be if we've all done our homework and respected the homework and like made sure that we know how to do it, you'll master the test, and it's all good. So then those quiz grades would automatically be a mastery. This test tomorrow will, like, I hate using the word trump now, but it will trump over the quiz grade. So it is everything the quiz covered and more. So if you master the test, the quiz doesn't matter. It's just automatically mastered. Does that make sense? So I've looked through your quizzes. I haven't formally graded them, but a lot of times I'll like leaf through the papers and like, okay, how they doing that? How they doing that? And then I'll like sit down and formally grade. As I was leafing through them, my wife was like, "Aren't you giving a test this week?" I was like, "Yeah, but this was the quiz from last week." And she was like, "Are you testing different stuff?" Because my wife used to be a teacher. And we had this conversation, and that's when I decided, like, well, really, the test should tell me everything I need to know about chapter 1. Don't be a pain. If you're a pain, then stuff will get complicated, and I'll just collect everything from everyone. Yeah, so I'll say that again, because I know Layla heard me. But, so, like, say a couple of you guys decide that tomorrow you're having a bad day and you're going to be a pain for the guest teacher, you're going to have me collect the homework from everybody, and the quizzes will matter. So, be cool, right? It's a Friday. It's Friday morning. Friday afternoons are a little tough, so, like, be chill. But you guys should be fine tomorrow. A lot of people asked me about 140 from your homework. Sorry, any questions from the announcements? For what it's worth, I don't want to collect your homework. I would love if we all master the test the first time and like that's it for chapter 1 and we all move on with our lives. I don't want to collect those homework assignments. But if you end up progressing, you can like figure out what you're going to turn in 126, 127, 128, and the closure, like tonight's assignment. Those 4 would be collected. Sorry, other question?
I mastered and let's say I mastered on the quiz.
Test? Yeah.
That. All this homework, all the homework that I put time and effort into, just go into the recycling bin?
No, it went into your brain.
So,
the biggest question I get asked that has no good answer is how do I study math? And really the best answer for that is do it. Right? There is no real like way to study math. You just do it. You practice it. So I understand like from your 7th grade brain, you're thinking like, but I did all that stuff. Well, like no one's gonna check it. You gotta start teaching yourself. You aren't doing things for other people. You're doing things for yourself. Sometimes your teachers have to check it because that's their job. We got to look at the evidence. Other times it's just to benefit you. If you did it, you got the benefit. I don't necessarily need to check it. You know what I mean? Yeah, like doing the homework is you studying. But it's not like you can go study like, well, in 1882, like, no, there's no, like, facts to memorize and just, like, it's not like social studies or something where it's just, like, yeah, no, there's, like, formulas and equations and things to get in your memory, but the more you practice it, the more it goes in your memory. Yeah, it fell. I gotta put it back up. The humidity keeps fluctuating, so until weather kind of levels out, I'm just not gonna fight with that poster. Yeah. Why are we what?
Funny.
Oh, you guys are funny because a lot of you forgot what multiple choice means.
Yeah, a lot of
Multiple choice does not mean do A, B, C, D. It means choose one of them for your answer.
I did it right.
So, now, hold on. If you did A, B, C, D, you should have realized only one of them can even possibly be a probability.
Yeah.
So, forget about this problem for a moment and just give me eyes, ears, whatever. If I tell you that the chance of rain tomorrow, which this is not true, but if I tell you the chance of rain tomorrow is 75%, what's the chance it won't rain?
25.
How'd you figure that out? Because 100 is everything, right? So if they said 90% chance of rain, we could figure out 10% chance it won't. If they say 40% chance of rain, 60% it won't, right? It's whatever gets you to the 100. Guys, if I do this, I get 175%. That doesn't make sense. That's not probability. If I do this, I get negative. That doesn't make sense. It's not probability. This gets the actual answer. C is your right answer. And this gets me like 135%. Actually, if you do that division and make this a decimal, it also gives you an answer that doesn't make sense. So C is the only one there that can possibly be the answer. But yeah, when CPN says multiple choice, it's just one of them is the answer. So remember that. I know like we're so used to like homework problems that have part A, part B, part C. Like when it says multiple choice, you're just choosing one. Yeah, my G's are weird. So it's because of cursive, because everything we did when I was a kid had to be cursive. So like if I was writing like say the word guest teacher, it'd be well, actually I'd be coming in probably from it's from cursive. I won't waste your guys' time. It's because you guys don't have to do everything in cursive. That sometimes adults writing will look weird to you. Yeah.
Why is your blue in your black?
So we're wasting a lot of time. The tips of these pens that interact with the board are kind of soft. They mash down in. So my blue tip from long-term lots of use has gotten all mashed and kind of flattened out and just doesn't interact as cleanly because there's a bunch of little points on a grid that this figures out where you're writing. So this one just writes cleaner. That's why. Sorry, I know it's an annoying one. So last year, the kids made me take all of these off, replace them with like glue sticks, and only ever use one pen because they got annoyed by the colors. So if we have to do that, we can do that. Because the color of the pen doesn't actually matter. All right, we ready to move on? Okay, today, your objective as a team in the next 20 minutes, because then we'll take about 8 minutes to check things at the end. In the next 20 minutes is to work through the Chapter 1 closure, problems 142 through 149. We do not need to do 150 because as you're working through this, if you have a problem that you're not confident on, like you would rate yourself low on this scale, you're going to raise a hand. If nobody at your team can help you, you're going to raise a hand and Mr. Smith or I will come help you. At about 40 after, about 9:40, I will put my done homework up on the board so you guys can check. But the other thing is, right below, and actually I think you just have to flip a page, are all the answers. So on closure sections, you are to check your answers after you solve the problems. So one strategy that we'll start to talk about as we move forward, you can start looking at the closure at any point in the chapter. So if you had decided to look at the Chapter 1 closure earlier in the chapter, and you were like, oh, this proportional relationship problem, I can do that, and you just decided to do it like at some other point, you've got the answers in there to check, did I do that right, or do I not really understand that yet? So as your group progresses through the problems, check your answers on that next page. You got to flip a couple pages. I'm watching Greta, and I think it's like 3 or 4 pages away. But yeah, you just flip a couple more pages in your book, and there's the answers. That is like that for every closure section. So you got 15 to 20-ish minutes to get as much of this done as you can. Have at it. Sorry. We don't start on time. We never start on time because you guys are coming up from creative start. How's the garage, Mr. Smith? Whole room, everything, all done. Yeah, and yeah. Now, what is that like bridge that runs across the roof? Oh, that's what, so it doesn't slide off the machine.
I think, yeah, it breaks it up so it doesn't like crush your gutters.
Yeah. So, funny story about the things I never noticed. When we were in college, we had a single story, a pretty mild slope roof, but enough that, like, as the ice started to melt, sheets of ice would just slide off. So my buddy and I were RAs in that complex. There were 3 different dorms, we were on RAs, and one of the sheets slid off, like, right in front of us. And we were like, so we went under the overhang roof and we were knocking on it to break stuff off. But I didn't realize I was in certain spots of the nails because when they were on repair or whatever. So I'm knocking on the roof right in the right hand. So that injury went all over to the what's up? Borrow a different one. Somebody probably took it by accident. That's why I'm trying to get everyone to bring their books back. So how old is the student also? Hey, do I have an active shot? And they're like, why? Well, I got a rusty nail in my hand. I just want to make sure I'm good. Can you come over here? We want to check it. Make sure you're good. That nurse, they're like, I walked over and she's on my leg. I hurt her. Nurse had autism, and then she called in the doctor, and the doctor was like, hey, cardiologist, and my dad does. You want to go see him? You got something going on.
All because you tried to do a good deed.
All because
You have a rusty nail in your teeth. Because they weren't nice.
Which, if you look at it like, well, it was a good thing, I guess.
All right.
Where's your work for today? Where's your paper that you're writing on today? It looks pretty blank to me. What should the top of this paper have on it?
Chapter 1.
Yeah, header, right? Whatever you're putting in your header, you need your name, your date. Check that right now. Do you have an appropriate header on this? It is. All day long. Thursday.
Oh no, not weeks go by.
Mr. Bird has a saying that the days are long and the days are fast. Like, a day at a time seems like, oh my gosh, we're going to go back and it's already been a year.
Why are you killing me today? Why are you killing me today?
Oh, yeah. I have made
You're scaring me! Maybe Ava killed. Yeah, that's all that you have today. 75 inches. Guys, listen. And if you don't have a book, go get one. And then please. Now, go get a book. Okay, whatever. Yeah, we need to start reading. So, number 1. No, I did not. Yeah, you did. Wait, yeah, I do not remember saying that. I did. And that was, wow, that was I literally did not wow, that's so weird. Oh yeah. What did I say? My mother. Stop. I don't remember saying that. I did. All right. Okay. So summarizing my but I don't know English in my head. I know. Oh, she has one that is false. Adrian. I'm gonna ask that as yeah, you asked me that. I went home and my mom essential oil. She's like, in your back. Because I quite know you. Oh, yeah, yeah.
So that was good feedback.
Number 8 is
What's your favorite letter of the alphabet? Wait, number of the alphabet. Mine is
It still looks awful nice. It's been 10 minutes. Wow, pretty fascinating. 10 minutes. Not you. Not you. So, does that help at all? Do you look what I wrote there? We set up a comparison situation that four boxes relate to the height and then we want to predict 20 boxes. How do we go from 4 to 20?
You got it.
Well, yeah, nothing
What is B?
to support what you're talking about. So we can load it down and show them. That would be more helpful.
180 inches high. Okay, no. Like 12 is.
Some of you are showing me that this doesn't work very well for you. Some of you are struggling to get anything written down.
Oh, that's what they're doing. So much easier when you go by yourself.
I mean, you don't have to be doing every problem together. You could allow you to do groups. You could like all do it separately and then compare answers.
Let's do 148. Oh my God. What are we looking at? It's looking at Hi, sister.
Hey, all you guys are doing is wasting time right now.
Wait, okay. Add all of them together. Really? That easy?
There's my work for 142.
Thank you. Oh, yay. Oh my gosh. add them all together. That's what I wonder.
A little bit of gas in the tank. Those ones. So, is that how many points are left in the game? How many more do you need? I'm just grabbing a box. How many 20s would make one? To make one, you need a number divided by itself. So what number needs to go on top of 20 for it to equal 1? Number is itself equal 1. How many more do you need in order to equal 20? That's that. Then we can reduce it. Let me see if this will help. You try to help, and I'm going to shift my favor. How about that? There's my work for 143 if you are struggling.
Where'd it go?
So, we broke this up into a lot of pieces. I don't know if that was 100% necessary. Let me grab my pencil. So, we know that this is 18 and that this is 36, right? So, that's 6. Remember the big rectangle, you sure?
Is that actually the point? What is 1/2 height?
11. Together. It's all about the 2 minutes and we're coming together as a group. That doesn't mean you need to be done. Yes. They're up there. Yeah, all of the sides added up, not just the sides that are given. It's like how long is the bottom?
I don't get the work that he did.
How long
I
is
get the
this?
work that I did.
Alright, so we have 18, 6, 11, 9, 29, and 15. A lot of sidelines.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you're right.
Before I keep forgetting and move on, never mind. We're okay. Sir.
Yeah, I got it right. I love this man.
Area doesn't say bad things about you.
See, Area's not stupid.
All right, peeps, bring it in.
Give me up, sir.
No.
All right, if I could please get your attention.
You have all my eyes.
All both of them?
Yeah. Well, first I have to go to the doctor and plus
What about the mind's eye? There's, depending on what culture, and your mind has an eye. And I believe it is part of Indian culture. I think that's why they have the... Yeah, so then you'll learn more about those things in global culture. So, now I know that you haven't gotten to all of these, and my dot camera is trying to fall over, so this is slightly difficult. But 142 is just like a problem in the test, where you've been given two different things that are related to each other, such as like time and quantity, or like cookies made in time, or whatever. So 4 boxes relates to 3 feet. I just do the same. I do the same thing to both values. Multiply by 5 on top and multiply by 5 on bottom. Same thing if I want to get 9 feet. Multiply by 3 on bottom, so then I multiply by 3 on top. Any questions on 142? 143. Easiest way to do that, split it up into the 2 rectangles that you see. So, when we look at the other dimensions, I can find that my bottom total 29 can be broken up into this 11 and that 18, or like summed up into 29. But that's not actually that great because I don't want the whole 29. Now, another method I've seen kids take is make the rectangle one big rectangle and then subtract away the area that we're missing. That would also work if you made it one giant rectangle and subtract away. Either way, your perimeter is 88. Your area is 369. Any questions there?
Can you let us do 124?
I'm sorry, but no. Just to be able to cover like these things. I mean, so you still want to go back and do it on your own. You probably don't have enough time just to copy things down right now. Guys, the other thing is that like if you just copy this stuff right now, it's not going to help you. You need to think through these problems. So even though I'm showing you this, and this is recorded, right? It's going to be on the video, so if you're at home this evening looking at these problems, you can still get back to this video and all the answers. First thing I do in 144, sorry, do you have a question?
Yeah, I had a really hard time finding your YouTube channel, like I couldn't find it.
Okay, let's review that really fast. So, if you go on YouTube, no, not that.
Oops, there's an error.
So, if you go on YouTube and search Micah, you got to know how to spell my first name, but it's not that common. So if you search Micah Hudson, if I'm not the first one for your search, look for the pi thing, the keep, calm, and do math. That's me. So you might have to scroll down through, but there's not a ton of Micah Hudsons. Like, there's like a page of them, right? And that's my personal channel. If you want to watch a video of my dog, you can go to there, but that's me rock climbing. But if you go here, it looks like there's no videos. You got to click videos. I don't know why. I don't like that YouTube coded it like that. Then you look for M7, right? I teach 3 different classes, and you guys are first. So actually, you're the 3rd video down because this uploads, and then this uploads, and then this uploads. So you're looking for M7, and this is yesterday's class.
Oh, no, you already got 2 views.
From people that are sick or absent for whatever reason. That's how you find the YouTube. I got to keep moving. Jalen, is it on topic? Okay, sorry. I just got to keep rolling. 144! Yo! I'm not going to compete with you. If you want to talk, leave my room. I'm not going to compete. If you feel like your conversation's more important than this, there's the door. Like you're not in trouble, just get out. Love you, but your classmates want to learn. Don't be a thief. 144. I start by just looking at half the circle because I already have half on top, like 1/4 and 1/4. Once I do that, I get my common denominator that the half left over is 5/10. The 1/5 that I see is actually 2/10. I do that subtraction, and the leftover wedge is 3/10. I saw some people using 20 as their common denominator. Totally fine. You would have gotten 6/20. In 145, we're wanted to draw the proportions triangles. Now remember, in the middle, you can write the verbal, or you can draw a picture. So I did both. I wrote a verbal for A, because I didn't want to draw 10 things inside of there. For B, I did a picture, and it becomes a repeating decimal. Remember that if you're trying to convert a decimal into a percent and do it real easily, we just move that decimal place 2 places to the right. That's how it ends up right there. And we'll do more work with like why exactly that happens. 5/8 is weird because it is not repeating, but it goes 3 decimal places. So if you try to put it over 100, it doesn't work very well. It will turn into 200 pretty easily. So if I turn that into 200, then I can turn 200 into 1,000, and I get 375 over 1,000, which 375 thousandths. We know how to write that fraction, right? 375 thousandths. Then I move the decimal / multiply by 100, get my 37.5%. 146. I forget what 146 is even asking us to do, but I know it deals with like terms and common denominators. Hey, look, there's my subplans. So see my subplans? It says have them take the test. I mean, it's a lot more detailed. But, oh, so just add these fractions, right? So we got to figure out the common denominators. Show your work. Guys, on the test, if it says show your work and you don't, you will get that question like, you're going to have to go back and redo that question. So when it says show your work, show your work. I got to see how you're thinking. So we realize we need common denominators. We only need to change one of the denominators, or one of the fractions. I mean, you got to change the top and bottom. We can add those up, get 4/6, which reduces to 2/3. Theoretical and experimental, I want to make your life easy. Write T or E. So these are theoretical because it was only based off math that we saw. B and C are experimental because they did something. They actually tried it out. 148, we just use the data they give us. What am I doing here with 1 + 2 + 3 + 4 + 6 + 9? Why am I adding up all those things? Yeah. We're doing probability.
Oh, yeah.
I need the total, right? Before I can talk about probability, I need the total. So I have these added up just to figure out what do I have in total. And that's going to become my denominator. Now, P of not yellow, I forget how the problem is set up, but I believe they tell us chance of getting yellow, and then we just have to subtract. Yeah, so if the probability of getting yellow is 36%, like we were just talking about at the beginning of class, we know 100% is everything. So the probability of the not is whatever else you need to get to 100. And if the wheel is spun 100 times, we use the data that we have to make that prediction. So silver, and this is something that I think we still need some work on, silver had the probability of 2/24. To get it to 100, it would be close to a ×4, right? I'm trying to make my math easy.
So this will be close to an 8. But since I know this would actually need a tiny bit more than times 4, I know it's like 8 or 9. My prediction is going to be somewhere around there. I don't have to have an exact firm prediction. But guys, I can't get 8 point something. Right? If I'm talking about drawing objects out of a bag or something like that, I can't get a decimal. So my prediction should be like 8 or 9, somewhere close to there. And 149, guess my number. 3 of an unknown number, 3 times it, triple the unknown number. Right? This is multiplication. Minus 7, or take away 7, I forget how he phrases it, is 83. So we write that out like an equation. Then if he took away 7, we want to put the 7 back on. So we see that 3 times the mystery number is 90. And then I don't want to know what 3 times the mystery number is. I just want to know what the mystery number is. So I get rid of the 3 times by dividing by 3, and I get 3. Questions? Wonderful. See me at AO or Extensions if you'd like to talk about any of this. Aside from that, do well on the mastery tomorrow, and you don't have to turn anything else in.
Do we have to finish the closure?
Depends on if you think you're going to master the test or not. If you don't think you're going to master the test, you should finish the closure. If you think you've got this all taken care of and you're going to master the test, you don't really have to finish the closure. Ah, there's a good idea. Layla says I'm going to do the closure so she's ready for the test.